Do you remember 1 year ago? It was about a year ago. We were doing that interview at the barbecue place and you were
Yeah.
eating the cracklings.
Yes. I had some the other day. There's a lot been going on, man, with the MMA world.
I know. Have you been following along? Like the UFC 249, the Tony Habib, then Justin Gaethje. What are your thoughts on everything?
You know what? Out of everything that is good, it's the bad that kills me. Is the John Jones not being the guy that we want him to be, and the fact that with this pandemic, the fight's not being able to happen. Um, they need to have a I wish they would put an island together, I guess like Fantasy Island, and allow the guys to go out there and be in like a hotel type environment or a training camp type environment where they can just go out there and work and have access to a hospital and everything you need. So
Exactly. Well, because WWE, I know they're running shows with no audience. How has that been? Are they just going there, flying in for the day, or and then doing the show, then leaving?
I think that people are flying in like they have to be there a day before so they can get the to make sure they're not coughing and something's they're having respiratory issues or anything like that, or sick or got a fever, and then they find out what they got and then they go with it, which is hard to do, but it's what wrestling's been doing for 50 years,
But do you think,
100 years.
yeah, do you think after this pandemic, I mean, when things are able to kind of get back into normalcy, like, do you think it'll be a lot different, or, what WWE will be implementing in terms of, the crowds and checking fevers and whatnot moving forward?
I think that it's not going to be as big a difference for the WWE as it is for everybody else because they're still going, and they found a way to work around it. The one thing about being in this environment is it is proved that the WWE and pro wrestling is really the most efficient and the most valued entertainment that's on television, as well as sometimes when you look at yourself, you see where you're weak,
Yeah.
and you find out where you're strong. I'm stronger than I thought I was. It's like a workout, and I think the WWE, when they at WrestleMania, the match that they had with John Cena and The Fiend, and with The Undertaker and AJ Styles, they found out that, you know what, we're stronger than we think. Like, this is something that we should start doing more often. This should be a part of our normalcy. And I think that it will be.
But what do you think about like Roman Reigns? Because I know initially he was slated to compete there, and then with the pandemic and his health, when he returns, what do you think should be next for him, or who?
I think he'll go right back to where he was. He's not going to cease to be Roman Reigns. It's just the fact that in this pandemic state um, or world, he's in jeopardy. I have a friend here in Texas who was in the hospital earlier this year, and he had a respiratory issue, and he's really afraid about going out of the house and getting COVID-19 or the flu or anything else because it could kill him. And that's where Roman is. Like, I guarantee you, it wasn't Roman that wanted to not do it. It was the WWE that said, hey, it's not worth your life. Like, I would rather see you when this is all over with and have a long, illustrious career than for you to be here for however long this pandemic takes, and then somewhere along the lines, you die from it. That would be catastrophic for the business, and it would be catastrophic to his family. Um, I know his family very well. His uncle was the first guy that took care of me in on the road, Yokozuna, and I drove the car. I got the bags. I ran errands for him. Whatever he needed, that's what I did. And in the process, he would talk to me about what it took for me to be a champion, what it took for me to be a great pro wrestler. And I owe his family a debt that I could never pay. But Yoko's not here. His brother, Rosie, who I traveled with long before Roman was, when he was still in college playing football, he's not here. Like we don't need for another of the of Roman's family to be gone. I mean, it's just not worth it.
Exactly. I'm glad that the WWE is really, taking that into account and taking all those precautions and watching out for him as well. I also did read, I think Edge recently did an interview with Corey Graves that Roman Reigns is someone he would love to wrestle. What do you think of that matchup?
Listen, if we get a main event with Edge and Roman Reigns, like I guarantee you, it'll have to be the main event.
Yeah,
Because you can see that Edge came back and he has not missed a beat.
I know.
He's live. He always was good. I hate that it took 9 years for the technology to get better to fix his neck. You
True.
know, I mean, but that's the world we living in. It's just like the pandemic. I'm praying that the pandemic don't last 9 years, but just think about all that's being lost right now, and not just in sports. Um, in business and people's cultures. Like you're just missing out on a lot of things. The biggest thing I think that's being missed is the Olympics, because it's been
Yes.
uh, every 4 years, and there have been guys and girls that have trained for 4 years, sometimes 8 years. They didn't make the Olympics the last time, so they had to go another 4 years. And then they finally get to where they're the number one person in the country. They're going to the Olympic Games, and then now no Olympic Games. That's a horrible thing, and you'll never get that time back. And my advice to all of those Olympians is to go on the day that you were going to compete. Go and compete anyway. Don't go there to compete, but have a venue where you can do a stadium, a gym, wherever you need to be. Have the best day of your life on that day, and let the chips fall where they may.
Do you think there could be a positive where this extra year, could benefit maybe other athletes to try to make the team?
Well, it will, but it's kind of not fair to the ones that's good right now.
True. Yeah.
You know, the ones that come from, like, I mean, even in '92, nobody expected me to even make the team. They were like, they had their senior guys that were the best American lifters. And at the Olympic trials, I just rose to the occasion. And I went to the Olympics in Barcelona and had the best day of my life and went 6 for 6, that with no misses and all PRs. And that doesn't happen that often. It just so happens that the sport that I was in was really, really dirty. And they allowed people to cheat. They allowed people to take drugs. And as a result of that, it took all this time, since '96, for the guy that was in power, that was the biggest problem, is now been, ousted. He's been kicked out. And you watch, Olympic weightlifting will be better. And you'll see Americans win medals now. because the drug testing is gonna get really tight, and they're not gonna allow the cheaters to keep competing against people that don't cheat.
Exactly. No, I very well said. And you mentioned 1996. I just have to ask you because I know you probably know what I'm going to say, but yesterday the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, was released, and I believe that you mentioned on your SiriusXM Busted Open radio show that in 1996 you had a run-in with Michael Jordan, right? Like a
Yeah,
confrontation or something. Was that the
yeah.
only time that you've ever spoken to him?
I think that's the only time that I really ever spoke to him. I watched him play like 6, 7 times. I went to games. One of my teammates was actually the strength coach for the Bulls, uh, like '96 after the Olympic Games. Jeff Macy, um, and I sat, 3 rows back at least 4 times and watched him play. His talent is undeniable. Like everybody knows that Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. Like he's not famous for a reason, but um, I had the same kind of run in. Well, it was actually worse with Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, just denied that he was Reggie Jackson. And I'm
What?
like, listen, man, you're Mr. October. I had a poster of you on my wall when I was a little kid. Like, you're Reggie Jackson. I'm not trying to blow your spot up or nothing. I'm just saying, I know who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. I'm not going to draw a crowd to you. And he was like, oh, I'm not who you think I am. And turned his back on me, like I wasn't standing there. And I was like, you know what, man, let me walk off before I beat this dude up and make national and world news like Mark Henry's a bully. He beat up a old man, Some people just not, they don't have that thing like Irvin Johnson or, um, even Tiger Woods. I walked and watched Tiger Woods for no apparent reason, just stop and start talking to like 2 kids. He just started just on his own, just, what's up, guys? Y'all, you here with your dads, your moms? Like, just start talking to them random. And I'm like, that's the way it should be. And that's the way I've always been. I never turn nobody away. If I'm walking up to a wrestling match and I'm mean Mark Henry, then, somebody gonna get their ass kicked. That's my character. And that's the way I carry myself. But when I left the arena, I ceased to be the character and I was the man. And um, that's always, anybody that knows me or has remotely ran into me once or twice, they'll tell you who I am.
Yeah, and they all love you. All the fans love you. Um, on the last note of the Michael Jordan documentary, though, did you happen to watch it, or
I
did
did. I watched it. I'm gonna
yeah?
watch the whole thing. I'm super excited. His talent is undeniable. Michael Jordan, right now, currently, is still the best basketball player that ever lived. Um, I think LeBron is really, really close on his heels. Really close. But they were different players, and that's the thing. If Magic Johnson and Larry Bird said that Michael is the best, I'm gonna take their word for
True. Well, what do you think it would take for LeBron to surpass that? Even though I don't think they should be compared at all, you know?
it. I think that he's gonna have to have another couple of titles,
Yeah.
and I think that he's gonna have to obliterate all of the records.
Mm.
He's already close.
Yeah.
Um, the thing about Michael is Michael was a guard that was able to do what LeBron did at small forward, being a bigger, stronger guy. But when it comes to athleticism and passion, I think that they both are equal.
Mhm.
But when it comes to skill, I think that LeBron is a better overall player because of the rebounding, being a bigger guy, the assists, um, and his IQ, I think, is equal to anybody that's ever played. So
Yeah.
it's hard for me to not be a LeBron fan. because this era of watching him take the weight of a team on his shoulders and just win. There were times where Michael Jordan, when he was young, he tried to bear the weight of the team by himself, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He had to get other special pieces around him to be great and to win. And he said that he couldn't do it without Scottie Pippen. LeBron took a team in Cleveland that the next best player was Kevin Love and won a championship. So for all those people that doubt his greatness, they need to look at the man and his body of work.
Yes, absolutely. And give respect. But speaking of respect, I know also a few days ago you mentioned on your show about Ronda Rousey, and you were saying that you don't feel she gets the respect or people need to respect her more. Why don't you think she's getting that respect?
I think that some of it is really like, and I call them the 10 percenters.
Yeah.
And I think it's really a small group of fans that watch wrestling, that are wrestling purists. They want Ronda to not be in Hollywood. They want Ronda to not be an MMA fighter, but to focus and to be 100% pro wrestling. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. She's special in the way that she was a world champion in another sport, that she has been in Hollywood and able to do movies and shows and is a dominant personality in this world. She had the best debut match of all time. And in 1 year, she went from dominant debut match to main eventing WrestleMania. Never happened before. Never happened before. And people need to respect that. I think that Ronda would pour herself more into wrestling if the 10 percenters were not there. She is thin-skinned, just like I am, and like every other great athlete. If you say something negative to us, we're going to use it as fuel. And when you don't have haters and you don't have people that's against you, you create angst just to have, so your training is better. Ronda embraces the 10 percenters. She used them as fuel. Her words, I think, was meant to hurt the 10 percenters, but it hurt the 90% too. And I've said some things in my life to people that I regret saying, but I said it because I wanted to hurt their ass. I wanted to. And I think that's what people got. I think the people that were not in the line of fire got hit. And and the ones that did get hit, that was meant to get hit, they stayed hit.
Yeah. Well, I saw that like Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, they're calling her out. When she returns, who do you think she'll be wrestling against?
You know what? I would call her out too. You know why?
Why?
Because she's going to be in the main event at WrestleMania. She's going to be in a big time match.
Mm-hmm.
I want the big time match. I want the big fight.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't I pick a fight with the person that's going to get me the most money?
Yeah.
Like, people need to stop being simple and realize what it is. It's about dollars, and the dollars make sense.
Hey, I can't agree more. Earlier, we were talking MMA, and I know last time we spoke, we also spoke about MMA, but Colby Covington, he's been talking about wanting to get in the WWE maybe 2021, as well as obviously other MMA fighters have expressed interest, from Chris Cyborg, Tito Ortiz, Daniel Cormier. Who do you think would do the best in the WWE?
I think Daniel Cormier. I love to see him. I love to see him come in and be an announcer first.
Yeah.
And analyze the matches and get to calling with Michael Cole, and then all of a sudden one of the guys trying, and he stands up and goes, "Look, man, I don't know if don't let the suit fool you. I will take this jacket off and we can get dirty." I love to see it. And I think that and Daniel is a fan. He loved wrestling for a long, long time. And I know that he would be good.
Do you think Colby would do good?
I think so. I think so. I think that uh, is going to be a matter of, are you able to, at this point, um, carry the same intensity, but not when you do it. And strikers are different than grapplers. Grapplers is easier, but you get knockout artists, guys that can throw hands and kicks and elbows. They have to be weaned a little bit off of throwing the punches. It's about wrestling. It's not about striking.
And speaking of striking and wrestling, I know someone you've wrestled against before, Kurt Angle. Were you surprised that he was released?
I wasn't. It's a business. Like there have been times where I've been shipped off.
Yeah.
I was never released, but Kurt was not wrestling. Kurt was at a producer capacity, and a lot of producers got let go. A lot of staff and writers got let go and furloughed. So it's just the nature of the beast. When everything is over with, you'll see people get rehired.
That's always good. And hopefully, we do see that light at the end of the tunnel soon. As always, I greatly appreciate your time. Hopefully,
you are very welcome anytime.
Hopefully next time we could do, the interview with barbecue again, right?
Yes. I need brisket in my life right now.
I just had some. I should have shipped you some. Oh, peanuts are good?
Yeah, these are spicy boiled peanuts.
Spicy.
I'm sitting out on my front porch with my best friend right here, nobody. And I'm staying away. Stay home. Wash your hands. Leave people alone. Talk to them on the phone.